at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description. Enough on that. So you got a hand for us here?
I do, I do. It's the 510 at Encore, Boston.
Okay, a place that's closed
So
down
this,
right
yeah,
now. Yeah,
yeah, pretty
yeah,
much closed down.
yeah.
Exactly. And this took place not recently.
Uh-huh.
This actually took place around November of last year, so a couple months ago.
Okay.
I had this hand history archive, so I can bring it up to you because I think it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're ready, I can start.
Okay. Yeah.
Villain has about 7,000,
Yep.
and we have 6,000.
Okay.
Villain is in mid position, an MP, opens 35. We
Mm-hmm.
have two callers, and we are in the small blind, and we three bet to 185 with ace of spades, ace of diamonds.
So 6,000 effective, MP to 35, two people call. You have ace of diamonds, ace of spades in the small blind, and make
Yep,
it 185.
185.
Okay,
Correct.
so that's a little bit on the small side here. With if you were to do
Mm-hmm.
four acts like a pot size plus the calls, you'd get to a situation where you'd be at 35 times 4, 140, 175. I mean, definitely see guys go as much as 250 here, depending on the other stack sizes. I mean, I know you're
Mm-hmm.
going like 5x, but it's a little bit less than pot. What do you remember the stack sizes of the field callers at
Yeah, they
all?
were about so the max buy-in is 1,500.
Okay.
So the
All
max
right, so
buy-in is
1500
1,500
here.
in this
Yeah. Hmm.
game. So they're both at 1,500.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so you make it
we're good.
185 from the small blind. Go ahead. Yeah.
Right. And then villain, the mid position, the initial raiser calls, and we're heads up. So the other
So
two
the
fold.
MP calls and the other guys fold.
Yep.
All right, cool. So you got aces.
The,
That's a good hand.
so the
I don't
background,
know if you caught my hand
yeah,
from my six bet pot. I played the
I saw
first
that.
six
I saw
bet pot that I've probably
that.
played. I played a six bet pot at 510, and we still had two streets left to play
That's
on
crazy. You guys
TCH
look
last
pretty
week.
deep.
Yeah, 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 with the aces.
Yeah, I
Uh,
saw everything. I saw you ran pretty good, which is great. I'm happy for you. I mean, that was such a six spot though. Like when the turn hits a queen and then he jams on you, I'm like, you're like, what am I beating, right?
yeah, but at
That's probably
certain
running through your
well,
mind.
like I mean, in this hand, you're not even close to where that is. But in that
Of
particular
course.
hand, which of course is on our channel, when you get into multi-bet scenarios and you build the pot up so much, when you're at like one pot or less with aces, you're pretty much not supposed to fold. Like you'd have to get
Yeah.
into a scenario where you've got like, red aces and it's like a 5 bet pot and the board comes out like king, queen, jack, all spades for you to basically
Yeah.
fold at like one pot size bet or less. I mean, it's a really, really special. But
Right, right.
here it just goes 3 bet and call. So the pot's like, I don't know,
Yep.
three and a quarter, 350, something like that. All right, let's go to the flop.
Yep. Flop is queen of clubs, four of clubs, and five of hearts.
All right, queen, 4, 5. Okay.
So two clubs, one heart.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to add to you is that the villain, the background that I know about villain, he's a Harvard student,
Okay.
and he's a pretty solid player. Like he knows the fundamentals and he knows his kind of concepts. So that's all I know.
Okay.
So on the flop, we lead out 220,
Okay.
and he calls
So, um,
220 into 50 into 40 450. So 450 is in the pot.
all right. So hero bets 220. Oh yeah, 450. I think I said 350. So you bet about half the size of the pot, and you've got ace of diamonds, ace
Exactly.
of spades. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Turn he calls.
Okay.
Turn comes two of hearts. So
One
by the turn,
one
it's
quick
about
sec.
$890.
One quick thing about the sizing here. See, this is where, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't really done this work, but I think that especially with I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands now,
Mm-hmm.
especially being home. Again, people who are on the phone here today, you're going to have to be patient because we're going to be filled with calls. Um, this is where I might, when I'm experimenting. I don't know if you use the solver stuff, but I actually might
Mm-hmm.
put this hand into a solver because I would want to
Mm-hmm.
know so that if I get into a situation like this in the future, I would want to
Mm-hmm.
know. People on the phone, please, when I put you on mute, stay on mute. So that's intentional. So I would want to know what hands the computer says to take for what sizing. So this
Mm-hmm.
is where I feel like you might be actually losing out if you're not using a solver, or some people might actually jump ahead of you. So on the surface here, I don't know the answer. Like as I
Mm-hmm.
start to use solvers more and more, I would probably run this one and say, oh, okay, like what hands am I supposed to be betting here with for what sizing in a three bet
Mm-hmm.
pot if I can basically accurately represent my opponent's range. On Queen 4-5,
Right.
when basically there shouldn't be any two pair represented at all, and there's no straightening equity, right? On Queen 4-5, if
Mm-hmm.
he's supposed to have to defend here with like probably any pair above eights plus, you're probably allowed to bet on the larger side. Now things change, of course, if there was a caller behind him. And this is, like I said, the
Mm-hmm.
theoretical part is that when you get in multi-way pots, you actually bet much smaller because the multi-way responsibility of your opponents goes way down. With that being said, though, we have live players that overfold. We have maniacs. We have people that are playing way too many hands, overcall, things like that. So I would say that that's sort of the theory behind this. Usually the solver doesn't usually pick a half pot size bet, but I feel like in live poker it's not a bad bet size because it sort of gets
Mm-hmm.
value.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it sort of gets fold equity when you want it. You know what I mean? Like you don't induce
Right.
floats. I mean, it's always the bet size that I've gone with, unless it's an extreme
Mm-hmm.
situation. But this might be one to like go back to the computer with and be like, oh, okay, so when you get like a paint
Yeah.
low call, a disconnected board, like what is the sizing? Anyways, you bet 220. Vil one calls. Okay, let's go to the turn.
Yep. Turn comes into the backdoor hearts, the two of hearts,
Okay.
and I believe by the turn it's about 890
Okay.
pot size.
Yep.
We bet 650 there. I was wondering what your thought is on that sizing,
Well,
650
I mean,
at 890.
it shouldn't. It's either gonna be a
It
two
shouldn't
thirds
change
pot.
much, that two of hearts.
Well, it should be. It probably should be at least a two-third pot size bet, right? It should be
Okay.
at least a
Yep.
two-third pot size bet, or
So you agree with that size,
or if well,
650.
it should be or larger. I mean, the two
Mm,
is a brick here.
mm-hmm.
The two is really a brick here in the sense that I mean, it's possible that the player could have ace three of clubs or ace three of hearts, right? You've got ace of diamonds, ace of spades here, right? I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Mm-hmm.
Probably ace three of clubs might be a partial, and obviously he could have sets, but in
Mm-hmm.
general, um, again, you're allowed to go larger. But again, bringing this into a live scenario, I have been in situations where I wouldn't come out and bet pot because I might be out against a player that might fold like king queen here, or queen jack. He just doesn't want to play a
Mm.
pot with a single pair. And then I might
Right.
bet this size with my huge semi bluffs, right? And in an imbalanced way because I know that they're going to overfold. So that's where the
Mm-hmm.
exploit comes in live. But the
Mm-hmm.
equilibrium said that, yeah, you should probably be able to bet larger. Okay, so you bet 650. Yep.
Yep. And then river is 10x, so 10 of diamonds, I believe. So all flush draws miss.
Mm-hmm.
And river pot size around 2190.
2190.
And this is the interesting, yeah,
Okay.
2190 is the total river pot size.
Yep.
So now this is a little bit interesting because what I'm thinking through my head is if he called all the way with queen jack, king queen, or even like I'm just thinking, let's say king queen hearts, queen jack hearts, or all ace x clubs,
Mm-hmm.
what would he? Should I go for value here, or do I check it so that he can bluff on the river? So that was kind of my
Yeah.
state of mind
Well, I mean,
on the river.
this is a good little spot because it's an extreme spot. Like there is that we put
Hmm.
up. Obviously, we put up the best hands from this live stream, and we display them
Hmm.
graphically. And today, they're actually when we're doing the live stream here on March 16th. The hand that we put up as a video today had to do with check calling on the river. And then somebody in the live chat asked me about, someone said, hey, I just subscribed to the channel and I turned notifications on. I want to watch this whole show after the fact. How do I do that? You basically can just copy the link here. So when you get
Hmm.
notification of the live stream, just copy the link, or if you have email notifications on, it will email you the link. The link never goes away. That's the thing with YouTube. You can post a video public, which will just go out. You can post it unlisted, or you can post it private. If you post it private and I send somebody the link, you can't watch it. But if it's unlisted, the link is live. It just doesn't come up in the YouTube search. That's how that works. Anyways, so the hand that so that particular hand from today was about check calling the river. But when you get into a very, very extreme scenario here where the pot is so bloated, people don't bluff these rivers. You know what I'm saying? Like if you check and a guy's got like a upfront missed club draw, I don't really feel like it's a spot where they're going to bluff all that much. I think that there's way more value here in going for value. This should be probably a 3-street type of run out here. I mean, yeah, you might run into queen
So
10 and you might run
yeah,
into pocket tens, but I would say that this is most likely a 3-street hand. I mean, I would probably bet probably half the size of the pot, something like that. And again, maybe
that's exactly.
in an equilibrium sense, maybe you're supposed to bet like a full size pot or 3/4 because they're supposed to defend with all queen X. But again, I don't know if that necessarily will happen in live poker. So what ended up What did you do?
Yeah, so here's the interesting part, the most interesting street. So I bet, like you said, half pot. I bet about 1150.
Okay.
I bet 1150.
Yep.
And what villain decides to do it? He jams 5,000.
Uh,
Now,
he jams 5,000.
well, he jams all in. So I started with 6K. So he puts me all in, of course.
Okay, so villain jams for 5,000 total, right? So villain jams 5,000. So 1150
Because,
into 2150, so it's like 3350, 3350, 40, excuse me, 55, and then so it's like what, 95 to 10,000, maybe 4,000 for you to call, something like that. You're getting like 2.5 to 1.
yep, yep. So I have about roughly 4K after I put in the 1150.
I
So he
mean, this
puts
is
me,
again, this is a situation where like it's an interesting hand where I would want to go back and look at the computer and say like, hey, what's equilibrium here? If
hmm
you put me in this spot in live poker, I very well might overfold, and people might say, well, wow, you're being
hmm
extremely exploitable because
hmm
he could be jamming, like if you're folding here, he could be jamming a ton of hands. It might be a situation where with your specific combination of aces you're supposed to call. Like if you have ace of
hmm
clubs, ace of hearts, maybe that's the one you're not supposed to call. I can't imagine
hmm
at equilibrium, if you were to put these hands into a solver, that it would say fold. Now in live poker, I very well might fold, depending on the player. Now I can sometimes level myself though because people know my method of live poker a lot, which is to bet fold a lot, like on versus river aggression. So I always wonder, hey, if it's actually me at the table, Bart Hanson, this guy knows who I am. I've hit the call button quite a bit because I'm like, I can't let people just try to randomly bluff me because I preach this method of bet fold, right? I don't know the answer to what the computer would spit out. I would imagine it would say call with your combination, but I'm not sure. I can't tell you like what to do in live poker. I mean, I don't know if you have history
Yeah,
with this guy or
um,
what. It's just it's a spot that's underbluffed. I mean, it's really a spot that's
yeah,
underbluffed. If
it
you
is. It's
put
a
me on
pretty,
if you just put me on a TCH stream with a live random from Austin and I played this hand this way and somebody jams on me for 5,000, I would probably fold. There
yeah.
were
I mean,
certain guys that I would call with.
I'm
There
thinking
were certain
back.
guys I would call for sure, but that's why it's hard to give you the answer.
Yeah, and at the time, what I was thinking is, do fours and fives ever play this way? The flop set ever play this way? I figure as though fours or fives would absolutely raise on the turn. I just don't know if fours or fives play this way. Maybe he's turning king queen of hearts into a bluff, or queen jack of hearts into a
I
bluff.
don't buy that.
That's yeah. I don't even
I
know.
don't buy that.
Like going back to your point, yeah, going back to your point, in live poker, people don't really bluff on river like this,
Well, I
especially
mean,
this
listen.
spot.
I mean, there was a hand that I played a couple weeks ago on the TCH live stream where it was similar to this actually. Where I mean, it wasn't quite the
hmm
exact run. It actually might have been the right flop. I think it was Queen 4-5. Where I think it was Queen 4-5 10-10. So very very similar. Where I three
hmm
bet out. It was exact same sort of scenario, but it wasn't an MP open. It was button open, and I three bet. I had ace queen. So there really was no difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I bet the flop on queen
Mm-hmm.
4 5. The guy called. I bet the turn. He called. The river was a 10, and I exploitively actually bet down instead of shoving. And he just called the whole way with pocket fours. That's another video that's up there about full shove or
Got
not
it.
shove on TCH. So I don't know. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, so I ended up probably tanking for like a good 8 minute tank, and I got like clock called on everything, and I ended up folding. I folded the hand, and then the guy, the villain, and I kind of caught up afterwards, and we became like friends afterwards. So he told me he turned the queen jack of hearts into a bluff,
Queen Jack of Hearts
and
into a
yeah,
bluff?
yeah.
I don't know, man. I honestly, I don't think I've ever seen. I mean, I
Pretty
have
disgusting,
done,
actually.
um, I've done literally thousands of hours of live commentary,
Hmm. Hmm.
thousands of hours
Hmm.
of poker commentary from 2005. I have
Hmm.
never seen anyone turn a hand like Queen Jack, which is sort of a weakish top pair, into a bluff here in a three bet pot for this in a situation for this much money. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it because
Yeah,
I just don't see it. I've just never seen it. Um,
yeah,
I don't even know if that's a thing. If you would take a hand with as strong as showdown value with Queen Jack and turn it into a bluff in this spot.
yeah.
So
I'm
I
like,
just don't know.
I'm just like, I'm always thinking, should I be, should I just take the punishment and be calling off on this river here with aces? I mean, we beat so many other combos, but we also lose to some, half amount of combos as well. So it was a bit of a bummer situation. Kind of want to get your input, and I appreciate
Well, I
your
mean,
input.
again,
And
like
I know you.
if you're playing against an opponent that you think is on the level that he could possibly turn Queen Jack of Hearts into a bluff, or he's a thinking player, then yeah,
Mhm.
you call because you have to be able to find enough bluffs. But even against good players, I usually don't see people run bluffs for this sizing. But anyways, I appreciate
Mhm.
the call. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.